go to Nikki Chavanelle, managing editor of Rivals, covering Arkansas athletics. Nikki, how's everything? First of all, you had the New Year Eve birthday, right? What's it like to celebrate a New Year's Eve birthday?
It's usually pretty good. This year, not that special, but still had a good day.
All right, good. Are we allowed to ask your age, or do you not give that out? I'm turning 44 in 9 days. No. SmackDown's turning 28, so we're going to be open about that. What did you just say?
I turned 26. Maybe in a few years I'll stop telling people.
Okay. That's right. Good. I felt like I was being rude asking, but, we're all friends here, so what's the big deal?
At what point does it get, like, you're old? What point does it get? I'm obviously kidding. Like, at what point, like, I'm excited to turn 28, I guess, but, like, at what point is it just, like, is it 30? Is that just when it kind of just goes over the hill after that?
I think really even 29 is scary.
That's the thing with me. Like, I'm fixing to turn 28, and I've got, like, I'm freaking out because all my friends are doing everything else. I'm like, what the hell am I doing with my life? But
can I be honest with you both here? Like, turning 30 is not the biggest deal in the world. It's not even 40 to be, because 40s are great. I love the 40s. This has been a great 3 years. Maybe 50s. I think maybe that's the time to start.
Okay.
And here's the thing about it. If you're asking me, SmackDown, when to stop asking women what their age is, it's whenever you don't care anymore. It's whenever you feel like you're being rude.
I'm a smart man. I'll never do that just because I don't need a woman coming to swing across on me with a right hand. No, I don't need that.
All right. Hey, Nikki. All right. Update us on who is being pursued amongst this Arkansas football coaching staff and by whom. And who do you think, aside from Justin Stepp, that they might lose?
Oh, man, it has been a fun, 48 hours since Justin Stepp, he didn't announce it, but the news leaked that he would be going back home to South Carolina. And then we heard that Jameel Walker, the strength and conditioning director, he was actually the assistant director at Georgia, and then Sam Pittman promoted him to the head job here. We heard that he was interviewing at South Carolina yesterday. I don't know how that went, but there are other candidates involved for that job. He did coach at Georgia for that one season that Shane Beamer was there, or I think Shane was there for two, but they coached there together, so they have a connection. But again, I said there are other candidates, so I'm not sure I see Jameel Walker leaving. The players love him, and he signed a 2-year contract with Pittman, who gave him his first head job. So I don't see why he would have any more connection to South Carolina than he does here in Arkansas. But it's probably a nice opportunity for him to get a raise. And then Barry Odom, I had heard from someone that Barry Odom and Sam Carter went on a plane down to Texas after the cancellation of the Texas Bowl, but I didn't think too much of it. I figured, maybe they're just, going home for the new year. I don't know why Barry Odom would be going down there, but Sam Carter is from Houston. But now it seems like he is a top candidate for Steve Sarkisian's coaching staff as a defensive coordinator. But don't know, what's going on in their process. I've talked to the guys at Orange Bloods, which is our Texas site, and they don't think that Texas would make any announcements until after the national championship game. But I hope we're not waiting that long to see if Barry Odom is going to stick around.
Gosh, it'd be a week to wait. So, it's obvious if Odom heads over to any other program, that sets you back a bit. I think he's a great defensive coordinator. I would trust Sam Pittman, though, to hire a good coach. I think if you lose Sam Carter, that's a hit because I think he's done great work with the secondary. But how big of a loss to the coaching staff is Justin Stepp? Because he built the best position group on the offensive side, and I think that's saying something considering, the coaching staff he started with.
Yeah, it is. It is certainly a loss. It's not like he's irreplaceable is what I'm trying to say, but definitely a loss and a surprising one because when obviously the South Carolina job opened, I knew he was from South Carolina. But the way that he loves his players, I figured there's no way he's not going to do it. I know how hard of a decision it was for him to leave even SMU when Chad Morris wanted him to come to Arkansas because he didn't want to leave his players. So the only thing, I guess, that made the difference was, it's going home to where he, watched games growing up. But, he's signed the players he was recruiting, so Arkansas has those guys locked in, and I think they all have good enough relationships with Briles and Pittman to be happy enough, although no one's happy that he's gone. But, Treylon Burks is going to continue to do Treylon Burks things, so whoever comes in has a really, really nice opportunity to get their first NFL pick in.
Nikki Chavanelle joining us here on Halftime. Nikki, obviously, I think I know the answer to this question, but just kind of curious from your standpoint. If worse came to worse, and you was to lose both Barry Odom, and we'll just throw Kendall Briles into the mix just for the sake of the question, who's the bigger deal? Who's the bigger loss? Is it Barry Odom, or is it losing your offensive coordinator?
The offense is just so important. It feels like, having to install a new system when these guys were already, so far into Briles' system and everything. That would seem like a bigger deal to me. Barry Odom's done a really nice job improving a lot of players, and I feel like he's just expanded their football IQs a lot so that even if a different defensive coordinator came in, they would be in a better position. But at the same time, Sam Pittman has such a good relationship with Barry Odom that you wonder if, there ends up being problems with guys sometimes if they haven't worked together. So it might be someone that Sam Pittman has already worked with, perhaps. But, you worry that with Sam Pittman being the more CEO-type role, if everything continues to go smoothly, if it's not someone he's so close with.
Transitioning out of Razorback football just for a second, we got the Heisman Trophy coming up this evening. Who do you think is going to come home with the Heisman Trophy this evening? Is it going to be a Trevor Lawrence, or do you think it's going to be a Devontae Smith? Because I feel like it's between those two guys at this point. And to me, it's whenever those votes are cast, because Trevor Lawrence didn't look necessarily good in the college football playoff semifinal, whereas Devontae Smith just played like a man possessed, as he has all year. What says you? Who's the Heisman Trophy winner tonight?
Maybe I'm biased because I haven't watched as much Trevor Lawrence this season. I've watched quite a bit of Alabama. Devontae Smith is incredible. I would give it to him personally.
Disappointment in Grant Morgan not winning the Burlsworth Award. Is it more because we expected maybe to get homer treatment, or is it because the guy led the nation in tackles per game? And it's difficult to quantify the performance of an offensive lineman based upon statistics. This just made yesterday's announcement so awkward, I think, for most of us.
Right. I do think that maybe some people thought, because he is from Arkansas, like, how can he embody the Burlsworth name more than being the Arkansas walk-on who earned a scholarship and contributed? But the Pitt lineman, he got a scholarship his redshirt freshman year, started 47 games. If you didn't look at the schools that they played at, you might lean more towards the offensive lineman, because just generally in his whole career, he has contributed more, and he's going to be a top pick at his position. So I understand that Grant Morgan absolutely deserves that award, but so did that other guy.
Before we let you go, you got Arkansas basketball tomorrow evening at Tennessee. Both teams coming off of surprising home losses. I guess more surprising for Tennessee losing at home to Alabama. But you don't put this in must-win category, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see the way that Muss, utilizes whatever rotations to figure out how to replace Justin Smith. And to me, that's the biggest thing I'm looking for tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully with more. Musselman didn't sound particularly confident after the loss against Missouri, but I think that's a little understandable. But hopefully with more time since then, he's been able to, wizard out some way to create some mismatches against Tennessee. Alabama did a pretty good job against Tennessee the other night, so maybe there are some takeaways from that, although I know he said that the personnel aren't exactly the same. But I think the Arkansas loss was even more surprising than Tennessee losing to Alabama, just because of the way that it happened and how bad the shooting and the finishing was. I hope I never see a game like that again.
I don't think you will. I almost feel like you got to try to shoot 26%. I think it's almost impossible. Hey, last thing, because I just thought of this from watching Musa's Zoom after the loss to Missouri, and you compare that with his Zoom after the win against Auburn. Both of those, and I have to be careful of maybe how I say this, because I don't want to make it seem like I'm making fun at all. But he is an incredibly entertaining watch on any sort of press conference, and I think in the Zoom setting, his emotions are even more on display than I think they would be in a personal setting. So let me ask you, what is more entertaining, post-game win Muss or post-game loss Muss?
Unless he's just super non-cooperative, which I think we've only had maybe a couple times. I don't think he's ever really been just totally shutting us down. But I think in a loss, it's just really refreshing to hear from him the way that he talks compared to other coaches who will really just kind of stonewall and not be in a mood to say much. But he'll give us a lesson and break down every single thing that he felt went wrong.
Guy really wears his emotions on his sleeve. I think we can appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And Nikki, we appreciate you too. Thanks again for coming on today. A happy New Year to you. And we'll get back into the routine swing of things here next week.
Thanks, guys. You too.
Nikki Chavanelle, Rivals.com, covering all things Arkansas athletics. Yeah, I mean, after the Auburn game, Muss legit, the first question from Chuck was your reactions, and he starts cheering. I mean, clapping, screaming, go Hogs, all of that.
Win.
You're all feeling the same way. Post loss to Missouri, I mean, he looked like he was ready to tear his hair out. On camera, too.
Wouldn't you be for the way that loss went down?
I know.
You generate 21 turnovers, and you lose by double digits?
You're never going to see a game like that again.
Hell no. It almost takes talent to do it twice.
Yeah. Hey, Tigers deserve credit for defense. The Razorbacks also missed a ton of wide-open shots, wide-open layups. All right, we'll wrap the first hour up next. Stay with us.